The Narcissist and Consent. Consent is not a matter which preys on the mind of our kind much at all. This is driven by the following factors. 1. Our huge sense of entitlement. We do as we please, how we please, when we please, and with whom we please. We access all areas. 2. Our inability to recognize and respect boundaries. This allies with our sense of entitlement, whereby nobody and nothing is off limits to us. Somebody in a relationship? So what? They are fair game to us. That seat is taken, yes, by us now. That drink was meant for somebody else? Tough. We invade personal space, take things which are not ours, commandeer other people's resources, and act as if we own the place, because in our minds we do. It is necessary for this to be the case for us to be able to assert control effectively. If there was doubt, if there was hesitation, the issue of control becomes problematic. Number 3. You are an extension of us. You are subsumed within us, attached to us, and since you are part of us, why on earth do we need to ask ourselves permission to do something? This is thus nonsensical from our perspective. 4. We are unaccountable. Even if we actually thought that we might need consent, it doesn't matter, because the consequences arising from failing to obtain consent to do something will not apply to us. We are able to escape blame, evade liability, and shirk culpability. 5. Our sense of superiority. Consent is a chain. It restricts and hinders. We are the colossus that strides ever forward, and as such, consent cannot apply to a titan like us. It will prevent us doing what we need to do. It will slow us down. Consent is what the little people have to obtain. This attitude to consent means that we behave like a marauding invader. Everything is up for grabs. How might this manifest? With lesser narcissists, it is blatant and obvious. The lesser will tell you that he's moving in with you and turn up with his suitcase and guitar with broken string and smile as he breezes past you into the house. Your resources are taken. Money, food, energy, without any explanation offered. Your friends are seized, either to be shoved to one side and told what the lesser really thinks of them, or flirted with and identified instinctively for triangulation potential. The lesser will invite himself round without asking. Use your car without checking first, and not replace the petrol that is used. He will readily incur credit on your behalf. If you challenge the lesser narcissist about this failure to seek and obtain consent, all he will hear is that you are threatening his control. Of course, he doesn't consciously recognize it as a threat to his control, but that is what it is interpreted as by his narcissism, and it will respond by rejecting this challenge. The lesser narcissist will rarely bother to even think of an excuse for his actions. He doesn't need to explain himself to you. He just does as he wants, the proverbial wrecking ball, gliding through life, unhindered, taking no prisoners. He doesn't need to explain himself. If he does explain and respond to the allegation, the explanation is usually obvious and credible, but this doesn't matter to him because he can do as he pleases, and you need to get with the program. He will say such things as, "We share everything in this house. What's yours is mine. I can't believe you're making such a fuss. No, I didn't use it. It wasn't me. Somebody else must have taken it." He can do this because as a lesser narcissist, he is who he is, and you'd better quit your complaining, or you will get what is coming to you, and then some. your person fares no better. You will be groped in public. He will get up in your face during arguments, invading your personal space, assault you, rape you, expect you to look the way he wants you to, without any consideration for whether you actually wanted his name tattooed on your neck or whether short hair actually suits you. He is entitled. Full stop. He does not need your agreement, your approval, or your consent to his demands. The mid-range narcissist is less brutish and far less obvious in his sequestrating behavior, but is no less invasive. Where the mid-range narcissist differs from the lesser narcissist is that this type of narcissist has enough control not to fly off the handle when challenged about the fact that he used the housekeeping for beer, or used to pour the hot water without putting the immersion heater on, or that the interfering paternal narcissist who keeps telling you how to raise your children will not necessarily erupt, but would rather provide you with a silent treatment by way of the assertion of control to your complaints about their repeated interference in the way that you're bringing up your children. The mid-range narcissist operates in an entitled way to express a view and opinion upon everything that you do. I wouldn't have done it that way. Well, you might think that's a good idea, but have you considered this? Opinion will be given, irrespective of whether it has been invited or not. You will be critiqued and appraised. The proverbial nose will be stuck in, as the interfering do-gooder tells you how to live your life. Of course, should you object to this, you'll be met with protestations of, "I was only trying to help." Well, most people will be grateful to have a mother who took an interest in her grandchildren. And the narcissist will respond in a manner of acting but hurt, sore, doling out a pity play, smearing to others. All I was trying to do was help out, and she called me interfering and controlling. The mid-range narcissist believes that they're a decent person. They believe that they're right, so the haughty upper mid-ranger sees no reason to gain your consent to commenting upon your life or doing certain things. He or she knows best. Their view of superiority manifests in that manner. The middle range type A and type B, being far more passive-aggressive, truly believe that they're empathic people and can't see that their suggestions, their comments, their criticisms not only shouldn't have been offered in the first place, but are unwelcome, unpleasant, and invasive. The mid-ranger invariably offers some kind of explanation, possibly even an apology, although of course it is not a genuine one. They will continue to interfere and invade those boundaries, acting without your consent on a repeated basis. Invariably, they offer on the basis of trying to ensure that consent is retrospectively given. They will say such things as, "Oh, I thought I'd already asked you," revision of history. "I'm sorry, I wasn't thinking. I'll remember next time." Promised change, future faking. "It was an emergency and I didn't have time. Don't be angry with me." Excuse, pity play. "I'll replace it tomorrow." This of course won't happen, future faking. "Let's not fall out now. I've something good to tell you." Deflection. "I meant to get another one. I just plain forgot because I was busy running around after you." Projection, blame shifting. "I was hungry. You don't begrudge me having something to eat, do you?" Guilt. The mid-range narcissist will con you into granting consent so that he or she can file it away, and the narcissism instinctively utilize it for the next occasion. "But you didn't mind last time." Revision of history. "Last time you said it was okay." Revision of history. "You said nothing when I did it last time, so how am I to know you don't agree now? I'm not a mind reader." Blame shifting, projection, revision of history. The mid-range narcissist will especially engage in making you feel sorry for him or her, so you grant their consent retrospectively. They will utilize pity plays and guilt, and make you seem like a spoilsport if you don't go along with what he or she wants. What about the greater narcissist and the ultra? As you would expect, there is none of the out-and-out grabbing of the lesser, as the greater and ultra find such behaviour vulgar and beneath them. Nor would these narcissists engage in the pitiful mewling of the mid-range narcissist. That is ignoble and beneath the greater and ultra. Of course, the greater and the ultra has just as great, if not greater, expectations that he or she can do as they please. However, the increased cognitive ability and awareness means that if need be, these narcissists would just plow on regardless and do as he or she pleases, but recognizes the value in actually obtaining consent as a more effective way to control, thinking ahead of collateral consequences that might arise from failing to obtain it. Indeed, the extraction of this consent from a seemingly unwilling victim is a challenge that the greater relishes, as it allows the assertion of control, the flexing of the manipulative muscles, the drawing of fuel, underlines the sense of power, and emphasizes the greater and ultra superiority. You can expect the greater and the ultra to know that they're going to get it. It's just a question of how and when. Emotional blackmail will be used, bribery and coercion to extract the consent. If you agree to do it, I'll take you somewhere good for dinner. Promised gain. If you don't do it, then I will leave. If you refuse, I just might have to publish those pictures I have of you. I never thought of you as boring. Everybody else does it, you know. Triangulation. My ex would do it without question. Maybe I made a mistake leaving her for you. Threatened loss. Triangulation. The greater and ultra apply pressure, immense pressure, in order to extract this consent, so that the reality is that your consent was not actually properly given. It's provided under duress, but we don't care, as we have no sense of guilt or remorse. This isn't going to stop us getting it from you, and ultimately, even if you do not provide it, we will continue to obtain what we want. Once you nod, say that you agree, mutter, "Okay then," consent has been delivered, and the greater and ultra will plough on with whatever it is that we require. Do not think that you can change your mind. You are not allowed to withdraw consent once it has been given, and it holds good for the rest of the relationship. It is not applicable as a one-off. The greater and the ultra will also apply plausible deniability to any situation where consent becomes an issue, so that if challenged by a third party with regard to the issue of consent, for example, taking somebody's vehicle or using their money, he'll use a combination of charm and out-and-out lies in order to damage the victim's version of events, gaslight them, project, blame shift, and make them look like they are the problem and that consent was actually provided. The scheming intelligence of the greater and the ultra, combined with the traits mentioned earlier on, enable the greater and the ultra to behave with complete impunity with regard to the issue of consent. The greater and the ultra do not see that consent needs to be obtained. The sense of entitlement suggests it is ours anyway. However, the greater and the ultra will obtain the consent not because they feel that they need it from the victim, but rather as part of the game playing and also the looking ahead, which the greater and the ultra can do, unlike the lesser and mid-range narcissist, to ensure that there are no collateral consequences and further threats to control arising from problems surrounding the provision of consent. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.